I love my work. But under our Constitution, I cannot run again. I can't run again. I actually think I'm a pretty good president. I think if I ran, I could win.
We could get a third Obama term after all.
You think I'm joking?
And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon.
The bell is ringing here in Rome, the campanone, the big ring.
My brethren, be strong in the Most High, and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of Yah, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may be able to stand and withstand in the evil day. And having done all to stand, stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, take the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of the Most High Yah.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 1.
Shabbat Shalom, family of the Most High Yah, and welcome to another Sword of the Spirit audio biblical teaching broadcast show. We are your hosts, the servants of Yah, and we greet you once again in the name of our Master Yahushua HaMashiach. We want to just thank everyone for joining us on today. Today's show is a special edition show. Normally, when we do our shows, we do a State of the Body panel discussion prior to our lesson, but today's show is a little bit different in the fact that we're just concentrating specifically on one particular topic. Today's show is not a lesson per se, like we normally do week after week. And let me just bring in my co-host, Shabbat Shalom, sis, and bring Prina in.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah, so today's show is not the same as we normally do our shows. We've done Prina about, 2 or 3 special edition shows?
I think so,
primarily focusing on one thing. And so today's 59th show is entitled Watchmen Warning, the Sword is Coming. And we're primarily doing this show today because there is an urgency in both of our spirits to warn the people of the Most High. There's still a lot of our brethren who just still don't know the truth. I mean, we're going to still continue to teach our weekly lessons, but there is something major that is getting ready to go down, that's getting ready to happen, and the majority of our people have no clue. Even if they're not in the truth, they have no clue. The pastors, of course, we know that they're hirelings, so they're not concerned about the sheep. They're not going to warn the sheep of what's coming, even though the watchmen are supposed to. The overseers are in charge of warning the people. And today we're coming to you from Ezekiel chapter 3, where he tells his watchmen to warn them, to warn the household of Israel, to warn them. And I just want to quickly read before we get started reading Ezekiel 33, 1 through 9, where he says, "The word of the Most High Yah was to me, saying, Son of man, speak to the sons of your people and say to them, when I bring the sword on the land, and take one man from the people of the land and their borders, and set him for a watchman there, and when he sees the sword coming on the land, and he blows the ram's horn and warns the people, and the hearer hearing the ram's horn and does not take warning, and the sword comes and take him, his blood will be on his own head. Why? Because he heard the sound of the ram's horn, and he took no warning. His blood shall be on himself. But he who took warning, he shall deliver his soul. But if the watchman sees the sword coming, and does not blow the trumpet or the ram's horn, and the people are not warned, and the sword comes and take a soul from them, he is taken in his iniquity, meaning he is taken in his lawlessness or in his sins. He says, but I will require his blood from the watchman's hand. And you, son of man, I gave you as a watchman to the house of Israel, and you shall hear the word from my mouth and warn them from me. When I say to the wicked, O wicked one, surely you shall die, and you do not speak to warn the wicked from his way, and the wicked one die in his iniquity, but I will require his blood from your hand. But if you warn the wicked from his way to turn from it, and he does not turn from his way, he shall die in his iniquity, but you will have delivered your own soul. So today, folks, Prina and I are coming to you as watchmen of the Most High to warn you, because the blood will not be on our head if you do not take heed to this warning. Today we're here as, again, the title of today's show is Watchmen Warning, the sword is coming. There is a sword coming. And that sword, and that is symbolic. We know that his word is the sword of the Spirit, but symbolically meaning that there is danger ahead. There's danger that is on its way, and it's danger that Yeshua said that must happen. the suffering, the persecutions, and this is especially for the saints. We're speaking to the saints, to warn you to be prepared for what's coming so that you will not be blindsided as far as what they have planned for the believers in the body of the Mashiach, as well as those who are foolish virgins who think that they're serving him but don't. We pray that they will hear this message today and will wise up and seek his face. So we have a few audio clips that we would like to share with you today that's going to kind of give you the gist of why we're doing this show, what's going on. Prina and I spoke last Sabbath about the FEMA camps, martial law. I'm not sure if you still have any of that information with you, but also when we spoke about FEMA camps and martial law, and we also spoke about what plans they have for you, the reasons for these FEMA camps, why martial law is going to be called. And if you missed last week, we talked about the FEMA camps, and basically a FEMA camp stands for a Federal Emergency Management Agency. That's what that acronym stands for. And we told you last week it's a plan, and it's a strategic plan to imprison U.S. citizens into what they call concentration camps. Okay, and this will be the holding place for many of these people. And then right now what you are witnessing, what many of you are witnessing, where you're just thinking these are just random events and natural disasters and, occurrences that are happening, but they're actually false flags like the one that just recently happened with Orlando and a lot of different things. They're just basically distractions, things that divide your attention to prevent you from concentrating, to amuse you and entertain you so that you're not paying attention to what's really going on. And Prina is going to talk in a few seconds because she's going to share some things that she was unable to share last week concerning the red and the blue dots. But these false flags events, they're nothing but operations. They're designed to deceive you, to make it appear as though the events or the tragedies that are being carried out, that they're being carried out by specific hate groups or nations of people. Like they tried to say this Orlando thing was a Muslim hate crime, but then they had to finally come out and admit that it wasn't because there was too many holes in their stories and people wasn't falling for the banana in the tailpipe like they usually do. But these false flag events, they're designed to deceive you in a way to make you think that they're carried out, again, by specific groups or nations of people or hate groups, but they're actually planned and executed by the people themselves who pretended that they're here to support us, and that's just not the case. So I want to go ahead and get started right away, Prina, with the first audio clip, and and then we're gonna come right back.
Okay, this is a high alert because of the simple fact that there is a ICE agent who worked for a particular part of the government, and this guy, he was basically responsible for capturing and or deporting or imprisoning illegal immigrant criminals that would come over and commit these type of heinous acts in the country. They will imprison them. So he gives he leaves a suicide note in which he killed himself, and he was actually letting everybody know that during this time that he worked for this particular agency, the agency were not enforcing the laws, and he worked for a government that is setting up to enslave the American people and throw the American people into FEMA concentration camps. I want you to read this article. I'm going to leave the links for you so you can check this out for yourself. This guy is stating in his suicide note that he left behind that the government is setting up in the United States to enslave. This is something that we have been warning about. Many servants of God, many people have been warning that the government is setting up to enslave and throw the people, the citizens, into FEMA concentration camps. He said that these camps are equipped with gas chambers, and people will be gassed to death anybody who comes against the government or the establishment. He actually says that pastors and rabbis are actually in on this. So your pastor may be in on it if your pastor is teaching you to obey everything that the government tells you and do not disobey the government at all. No matter what they tell you to do, just do it and just go along with it. These pastors have been coached by the government, and they have basically sold you out. So if you are in a 501c3 church that is promoting following everything that the government tells you to do, even if it goes against your religious liberty as a Christian, even if it goes against the things that you believe far as being a God-given right to serve the Lord Jesus Christ, to do good things to people and not be a part of being a murderer or a liar or a deceiver or anything of that nature. If they are telling you that you should just follow along with everything the government tells you, no matter what happens, no matter what goes down, just do whatever you're told, even if they tell you to deny your faith or whatever, they talking crazy like that, they are a government agent, okay? I'm telling you now, this is a warning. This guy puts this in his letter, okay? So I want you to see this and just go through this and take your time and make sure you share this as much as possible, because this guy is saying that this is going to go down during the time of economic collapse. Communications are going to be cut. A lot of things are going to happen as far as the enslavement of the population. A lot of people who have military veteran skills are going to be assassinated, killed, just a lot of different things of that nature. This guy saying that we're being set up now. Again, if you don't know Jesus, he is your covering, because the military is not going to help you. He's actually saying that the military is being downsized intentionally by our president. This is something that I've been posting on Facebook. Okay, I've been sharing this and letting you know the government is not going to help you now. Okay, they're against you. So you need to give your life to the Lord. Let the Lord have your soul. Let the Lord encamp around your spirit. Okay, all right. So you need to be protected in that manner. All right, so this guy's saying that. He's saying that the military is being downsized. The military is actually going to be sent overseas when this martial law and this economic collapse happens in the country. So again, this country will be left open for pickings because the military will not be here. So.
All right, Prina.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, there were some things that were said there, and
yeah,
I wanted to kind of read where the scripture where he was saying the main thing that stood out to me here was he said, and I want to actually read this scripture that's coming from Romans chapter 13, but what he did say in here is that they're gonna that your rabbis and your pastors are in on it. Yeah. That's what you don't understand. T.D. Sake and Joyce Meyer, Creflo Dollar, Joel Osteen, Benny Hinn, they're all in. Don't think they do not know what's going down. He's basically saying that they're all in. And he said basically what stood out. He said if you are a church or a part of a church that is a 501c3. They're in on it because they can't speak against the truth. That's part of that agreement. That's part of that agreement. The government owns them. Yeah. If they speak out against it, then what happens? They speak out against it. They take your church. They shut you down. That's a part of it. Didn't we speak on that?
Yeah,
we spoke on that. You know, if you are part of a church or organization that is a part of a 501c3, they're taking government money. That is hush money. Yeah. Okay. Right. Money. So where they're getting this is obeying all. Well, he said that he said the gentleman said in the clip that they're going to try to use that scripture. It is coming from Romans chapter 13 that says to obey the government ruler. are the ones that are rule. And in my Hebraic Roots Bible in Romans 13:1, it says, let every soul be subject to the higher authority, for there is no authority except from Yah. But the existing authorities have been ordained by Yah. Okay, that scripture right there does not mean that you do whatever the government tells you if it breaks the laws of Yah. Because even Paul said in Acts chapter 5:29, he said we must obey Yah rather than men. That's what you are to obey the government unless they violate scripture. Okay, this is what this whole thing is going to come down to. Why do you think the Apostle Shaul and the rest of the apostles and the prophets and those who the four Hebrew boys had to decided to take a stand? They were willing to be thrown in the furnace and to be burned, to be thrown in there with Daniel and the lions den. Why is it that they decided, you know what, I don't care?
Yeah.
Why? Because they wanted them to bow down to idols. Okay? To even in the Esdras, to eat things that are sacrificed to God.
Yeah.
Eat this pig, like the Hebrew woman and her 7 sons. Eat this, and you can live. Eat this pig, and you can live. No, she allowed all her sons to be murdered. They were glad to be murdered because they said they were not going to put that foul thing in their vein. They were not going to, because they knew that the dietary laws were standing. These are the laws of Yah. Yah's laws do not change. He says that he does not. He changes not. He's the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. And so, yes, we are to obey the laws of the land when you read Romans chapter 13:1, but you don't obey the laws of the land and obey the government rulers if they ask you to violate scripture.
Yeah.
Even a wife submits to her husband, but that doesn't mean that she sins against Yah.
Yeah.
Okay, if he wants you to bring a monkey in the bedroom, that don't mean you bring a monkey in the bedroom and have sex with and have a threesome with a monkey just because you talking about my husband said to submit, I got to obey him. No, not if he's asking you to engage in bestiality.
Yeah.
Because right now there is nothing that they won't do. Everything is perverted.
Yeah.
Right now, everything is perverted, and I had to bring that out when he was saying that because I wanted to read exactly where he was getting this scripture from because he didn't state it there in the audio clip so that people will understand. Paul said in Acts 5:29 that we must obey Yah rather than men. Yes, if all live peaceably with men, but I'm not going to sin against Yah to obey nobody. That's where you go. That's what this whole thing, why Paul and them were getting locked up and were getting beaten and getting persecuted because they was not going to submit to the Roman government, the Roman authorities. And something that he said in there was bringing in foreign soldiers for these FEMA camps. Yeah. Okay, for when they lock us up and detain us, they're bringing in people that's not United States soldiers to come in to be rulers and authority over us and to kill us if need be if we don't obey and do what they told us to do. And so I want to, just before you come back with your part, and I'm not sure if you have anything to add, I want to play this brief clip from The Purge that kind of show the connection and what they're trying to tell you, what they're going to do. In this movie, The Purge, Election Day, you definitely need to see this because I'm sure everything they do, they put in their movies, and we're going to come right back. This is a clipping of The Purge. Pay very close attention to what is being said.
Yes, it's that time of year again, folks, when society calls on us to play our part in the annual purge. For one night only, all crime will be legal.
Airports across America were buzzing today as hordes of international travelers arrived in the country to take part in the annual purge.
It's the ultimate freedom.
They're being called murder tourists, as America's annual night of legal crime takes on a global dimension for the first time.
We had to experience the purge.
La purga.
Support.
But as the countdown to this year's purge continues, a campaign that threatens to end the event for good is gaining momentum.
Opposition Senator Charlie Rowan has outraged traditionalists by calling for an outright ban on all purge activities.
It is a night that is defining our country. The purge has to come to an end.
And as the most divisive purge night in history approaches,
many fear for the safety of this controversial senator.
It's time to do something about that, Senator.
All right, let's begin.
This is the commencement of the annual purge. At the siren, all crimes, including murder, will be legal for 12 hours.
The only way that I can win is to risk everything.
My job is to eliminate risks and keep you alive.
We are going to use this year's purge to do some spring cleaning.
Someone betrayed us. They're coming for you. We are on our own. They want you dead, Senator. And there's a whole world of crazy out there. So we have one goal right now. Survival.
What are you doing outside on Purge Night, Senator?
There was an assassination attempt.
Come on.
They're tracking us.
Everybody down! Hold on!
I need to make sure you get through this night. Here they come.
Purging is the American way.
In all these rooms, we got eyes and ears on everything.
All right, let's begin.
This is your emergency broadcast.
Okay, Prina.
Yes.
So, what did you pick up in this this movie, The Purge? Because it kind of coincided with what the gentleman was saying, when especially at the beginning.
Well, what stood out to me was spring cleaning when he says, and it's the American way. Purging is the American way. They're just trying to tell you they're going to exterminate all those that are in resistance to the government and that don't obey the government. You know, it's just one way of them to get rid of those that are not going to go along with their plan.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because when you purge something, you are trying to eliminate, like in the Bible, when you're purging to get rid of the sin that's in your, and so they're purging those that are not going to conform with their ideologies and their plan. Yes, and their lawlessness. So you're not going along. You're not, you're an enemy, and you are going to be killed,
terminated. And I wanted to read this 2 Timothy 2. When I was reading this last week at the end of the show, it says, nevertheless, the foundation of Yah, and this is coming from 2 Timothy 2, and I'm beginning at verse 19. It says, nevertheless, the foundation of Yah stands sure, having this seal, the Most High knows them that are his, and let everyone that names the name of Yeshua depart from iniquity. Verse 21, if a man therefore purge himself from these, he shall be a vessel unto honor, sanctified, set apart, meet for the master's use, and prepared unto every good work. So right here, Yeshua, as you were saying, they got this movie is The Purge, and they want to get rid of everything that is good. They want to be lawless, okay? But Yeshua is saying right here in 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 20 and 21, it says that let everyone that names the name of Yeshua depart from iniquity, and if any man purges himself from these, he is a vessel unto honor. So we see verse 20 and 21 is telling us to depart from lawlessness, because that's what this whole purge thing is about. Sure. But depart from lawlessness and anyone who purges himself from these. So this movie is all about promoting lawlessness, and they put everything they're going to do in the movies. There's no coincidence that this is called the election. Right before this circus that they call an election is right here. This is nothing but a big circus. And they have it strategically coming out just prior to the election. And in this movie, the senator is she wants to stand up against the purge or against the lawlessness. Okay, this is symbolic for the people of Yah who are going to be standing up against lawlessness and iniquity in these end times that are taking a stand. And what did the man say, Prina, for those?
He said
it's time for spring cleaning.
Yeah, it's time for spring cleaning, and you know, they mentioned I don't know if you heard Cal at the end when he said purge as we eliminate evil. So, you know, that goes to that scripture, you know, they call
evil
good evil and evil good, you know, and so he calling those that resist evil.
Mhm. Yeah,
you know, because he said purge as we eliminate evil,
Mhm.
So they're calling us evil, and you know, when we go against them for standing up for, you know,
righteousness,
the most righteousness and the Most High Yah, and you know, just looking at this trailer, and it just shows you the paradigm of Satan's system. You know, and it's upside down, the flip system.
Oh, yeah.
You know, how the Messiah tell you to purge just sin out of your life so that you can be honorable and be used as a vessel. Whereas Satan's system, when you're purging, you trying to bring all forth lawlessness and wickedness to do as you will, you know. And so you can see the parallel or the upside down kingdom when you compare the purge to how Yah or Yeshua tells us how we should purge the sin out of our lives.
Mhm. So I'm going to go ahead and play the second clip, and then I'm going to come back because I kind of want to, you know, it's just amazing. I want to kind of talk about, you know, because this president right here that's in office, you know, I truly believe he is the man of sin. He's lining up with Daniel, and I kind of wanted to read Daniel a couple verses in Daniel 8 and Daniel 11 and 39, but it's, you know, it's kind of surreal that we're actually living in these times and we're seeing. I don't know how anyone could not believe in the Bible when the scriptures themselves are unfolding and everything that is in them is coming to pass. And so we're going to listen to the second clip, and then we're going to be right back. This is basically some roundup information, FEMA cap roundup information, and we'll be right back.
It states here that American citizens will be rounded up without warrants and imprisoned without trial for God knows how long. It states that these camps have been equipped to carry out Hitler-scale killings, an actual purge of American citizens by the very government which they themselves created and pay for. ICE agents' suicide note is now revealing government plans to round up and disarm Americans during a time of future economic and bank collapse. According to Superstation 95 FM out of New York, they're reporting some very deeply troubling news, but nothing awake Americans don't already know. Yes, they disclosed that after writing a lengthy suicide note exposing terrifying plans that the government has for American citizens, a U.S. Customs agent walked onto a pier in New York City and blew his brains out. Sources inside the New York City Police Department have revealed to Superstation 95 the contents of his suicide note that was found on his body, and they are frightening. The note outlines why the officer chose to shoot himself. Quote, this is the words of his note: "The America I grew up in and cherished has been murdered by its own federal government. Our Constitution has become meaningless. Our laws politicized so badly they are no longer enforced except for political purposes." The note continued, "Our elected officials are, to a person, utterly corrupt and completely devoid of any love or respect for the country which pays them. To them, everything is about getting and keeping power and making illicit money from backroom deals." Now, the 42-year-old U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement deportation officer shot himself with a .40 caliber service pistol inside Pier 40 on the Hudson River Park at around 11 a.m. Apparently, a source at the scene described that the officer calmly walked into the park, took out his pistol, and shot himself in the head. Now, the suicide note the officer revealed what he claimed are terrifying plans that the feds have been finalizing. And I have actually been tracking these very plans for many years now. Made some documentary films on it as well. Quote, if the American people knew what this government is planning, they would rise up and overthrow it. If I or anyone else in the federal government revealed what is coming, we would be killed anyway. So now I will reveal what I know. We in federal law enforcement have been drilling for several years to control riots and uprising from a coming financial collapse and widespread bank failure. The drills involve life-size images of American men, even women and children, whom we are told to shoot for practice and to get used to it. We've been told that the economy is terminally ill and we will fail in 2016. We are also told that the banks are insolvent and the FDIC doesn't have nearly enough funds to bail out depositors. We are told that these events are unavoidable, and it is imperative that the U.S. government survive when people rise up over this. When the collapse takes place, detention camps created under the Rex 84 program in the 1980s to house illegal aliens whom we're going to deport will instead be used to imprison American citizens whom the government feels constitute a threat. Wow, that's stuff that I've actually been covering for a long time. Rex 84, the FEMA camps, that whole element, the continuity of government program. It states here that American citizens will be rounded up without warrants and imprisoned without trial for God knows how long. It states that these camps have been equipped to carry out Hitler-scale killings, an actual purge of American citizens by the very government which they themselves created and pay for. And he wrote, I cannot be party to this. Wow, it's a very lengthy note, and I'm only reading part of it here. It goes on to say that the government knows the military will rise up to stop this, so our military is being deployed overseas and intentionally involved in foreign fights so they cannot be here to help Americans. Certainly a frightening future painted by this suicide note, and so frightening, in fact, that this agent took it upon himself to kill himself, to relieve himself of the burden that he felt that his own job and his own participation in this program
as I have gotten older,
upon him.
I have decided we really need camps for adults.
To the mainstream media, this is just another step in preparing for catastrophes. But to others, it's something much worse. Here's where it gets crazy. According to broadcaster Alex Jones, FEMA is a front for a secret government, and the housing locations will actually serve as quarantine centers or internment camps. This is not an unfounded fear. After all, during World War II, the U.S. forced over 100,000 Japanese Americans into government camps for the duration of the conflict, and civil unrest could be considered a domestic emergency. How would this insurrection occur? Theorists cite any number of possible causes, from the establishment of a one-world government to a national pandemic. Some believe a global elite of bankers and aristocrats may artificially create a disaster to trigger a massive incarceration of U.S. citizens who object to the plan, whatever that plan might be. Fringe researcher Mary Louise alleges that FEMA keeps a red list and a blue list, where people on the blue list will be shipped to camps for quarantine or re-education, while those on the red list will be executed. Skeptics rightly point out that this conspiracy requires an amazing, even implausible, level of organization. Also, a large natural disaster can displace hundreds of thousands of people, so building temporary housing in advance seems like a good idea. Yet there's another angle here. The U.S. already holds the world's largest prison population, with over 2 million people incarcerated. Most of the people who believe that FEMA is a cover for a mass imprisonment also believe in the Illuminati, Freemasons, or satanic conspiracies. Sometimes they believe in all three. The outlandish nature of some theories may make them hard to swallow, yet the facts are foreboding, even to skeptics. The federal government has indeed constructed massive housing facilities across the United States, from Oakdale, California to Atlanta, Georgia. Executive orders have given FEMA and other agencies increasingly broad emergency powers, even allowing the U.S. Army and Marine Corps to perform domestic operations. Theorists like Dr. John Coleman allege the focus of FEMA has steadily moved away from natural disasters to concentrate on the management of a hypothetically unruly populace. In 2003, FEMA was incorporated into the Department of Homeland Security. To most Americans, this is just another game of bureaucratic musical chairs. However, it makes perfect sense to conspiracy theorists. Before you reject this theory, take a look at the laws surrounding the Constitution, FEMA, Homeland Security, and other related agencies. Pay close attention to Rex 84, the Patriot Act extensions, Operation Garden Plot, and the executive orders that created FEMA. Conspiracy theorists think these documents are only the tip of the iceberg. The rest, for now, is stuff they don't want you to know.
The end of the Republic has never looked
Council
better.
resolutions need to be fully enforced.
It's time to wake up, folks. Why do you think the U.S. government is stockpiling as much ammo and weapons as it can, while at the same time it's trying to take ours?
All right, Prina, we're back.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, there's a lot that can be said there.
Yeah, a lot to digest.
Want to jump in with temporary something that was said, because I'm going to allow you to go in with this red dot, blue dot, because they mentioned that. But I wanted to quickly talk about the so-called FEMA camps being under the guise of being, coming for natural disasters.
Yeah.
And providing temporary housing, in the case of a natural disaster. I wish we could say that the most recent ones have been natural disasters. We are seeing a lot of these things, with HARP is being controlled.
Yes.
Just like Hurricane Katrina, that was a controlled event, and it was also part of judgment. Judgment as well, because I told you he showed me that dream within a week before it happened. But many people are going to think when they have civil unrest or natural disasters, and going into these concentration camps, those who are unlearned and have no clue, they're going to think, oh, this is a place, of safety, but they're not realizing, what's going to really happen to them. A lot of our brethren who did not see the light of day after Hurricane Katrina talked about how they were being shot like dogs. They wouldn't let them leave. They were being detained. They were being tested. But this whole thing with the temporary housing, this is just like a ploy for them to be able to detain you. But again, they have to create these events and create these false flags so that they can have a reason to justify. They can't just come in without, something going down. And so, excuse me, I just wanted to quickly bring that up. I'm going to allow you to go in with the red dot, blue dot, and give us some information on that, because we didn't share that last Sabbath.
Okay, so the list is generated based on those that are in extreme, quote-unquote, extreme groups that go against NWO, which is New World Order, and martial law, those that are speaking out against the lawlessness that is going on. And so the red list is geared towards, like, patriot groups, outspoken ministers, outspoken talk show hosts, any community leaders that are speaking out, that's getting the community revved up, to give them insight on what the government is doing. So these persons that are listed on the red list, they are going to be immediately taken to FEMA camps and killed before martial law is declared. So before is
who are these people that are being represented on the red list?
They were saying, according to the Megiddo Project, if I'm saying it right, Black Hebrew Israelite.
Well, these are the ones who are mainly not just the specific, but these are the ones who are awake, and they most likely are not going to
bow
submit.
down to orders.
Yeah.
Right. They're not going to submit. And so it's a list of groups or cults, as they are called too. But Black Hebrew Israelites, the ones that are awakened to the truth, not the ones that stand on the corner yelling, and screaming.
Because most of them are part of the foolishness.
Yeah, that's right. But also, like the people that we hear all on our YouTube that we have presented before you, any Christians that that's denying, the resistant the government, all those persons are listed on this list, and so the red is you are immediately terminated. There's no, you got a chance. No, their thing is they want to immediately eliminate you before martial law come out, so that you are not sounding no warning.
Purging, basically spring cleaning.
Right.
They're going to
clean you first, okay? And so then those, I'm not laughing just to, just be, facetious, because we taking this serious. But the blue list are those that are followers of the red folks. That's on the red list. Those that are listening, those are that, are preparing, and those that are considering what the people that are warning. And so they are taken to the camps after they have killed the red list people, and they are taken to detention camps to re-educate and with various mind control techniques to get them to conform to their way of thinking. And if
probably
they
what
don't,
they're doing now,
they are
MK Ultra
too. Okay, they are exterminated too. And then those that are on the red list, those are the sheeple that follow anything that the government says.
On what list? What list is that again?
The yellow list.
Oh, okay, I thought you said red. Okay.
Okay, no, the red list. Oh, I'm sorry. If I said the red list, it's the yellow list. Okay, so I'm moving from the blue list. The blue list are those that follow the people in the red, and those are the ones that are going to go to the detention center to be re-educated. If they don't, fit in with what the government is telling them, then they are exterminated as well. And we have the yellow list, and this list are the citizens who, pose no threat of NWO, which is New World Order, or they don't know about it. Those are the ones that sleep, that follow, the president anyway, the ones that, believe everything that come out of his mouth and everything that the pastor come out of the pastor's mouth. So they, are going to pose no threat to the government, so they just going to follow along. However, they will still be mistreated too, so they're not safe, but they're just temporarily, treated, differently than those that are on the blue and the red list.
Okay, well, you are listening to it. Again, we are Watchmen warning you, making you aware of the sword that is coming, so that you will not be blindsided by anything that is going to be happening soon, and you can expect it between now and January. Something is going to go down. He said it over and over and over again, about him getting back in for a third term, and then he was like, "I think I'm joking." It wasn't a joke. It wasn't a joke, and I want to kind of quickly, because I truly believe that this is the man of sin, and I knew this when he first came in office. I was in unrest from the very beginning, and I want to quickly go to Daniel chapter 8 and verses 24 through 25, because you have to understand and understand prophecy and some things that are being spoken, and if things are lining up with Scripture and a person is speaking and walking in a way that the scripture says, identifying this man, he's been given his power. He's been given his power. The dragon has given him his power. He has been able to do things that no other president has been able to do. He's been able to do things. And when you go to Daniel chapter 24, Daniel 8:24, and it says, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy wondrously, and he shall prosper and work and destroy the powerful and the set-apart people. And also, through his policy, he will make deceit succeed in his land, and he will magnify himself in his heart, meaning he's going to lift himself up. He's going to be proudful and arrogant, okay? And by peace, by peace, he shall destroy many. So I want to stop there because this is exactly, he came in, he entered in peaceably. The scriptures tell you that. Obama, he came in election 2008 and 2009. Obama was given the Man of Peace Award, the Nobel Peace Prize in October 9, 2009. And we know that Satan comes as a man of peace as well. And he's the first U.S. president, the first, to be the head or the chair of the UN, which is the United Nations Security Council. No one has ever, other president was able to do that. Do you understand what it means to be the chair of the United Nations? Not the United States, but the United Nations Security Council. This means he is literally in charge of all of the affairs and the armies that are affiliated with the United Nations. He's in charge not of just the United States armies, but every army that is affiliated with the United Nations. And what are they doing? He just got finished meeting with Saudi Arabia president the other day. He's meeting with all of the leaders, the world leaders, because if they're all on board and any of the leaders that were not on board, what did they do? They got rid of them. They got rid of them. They overthrew them. They were overthrown. Because if they're all on board and he is the head and the chair of the the security, then that means he's over all the armies. So they're able to bring in, like what they're saying, bring in armies and bring in men from foreign soil to come over here and to enslave us. He's already told you that executive order was signed, that we can be enslaved without pay. Okay? He is fitting this to the T. He came in with peace, and he's flipping his script on you, just like Scripture said. He came in under the guise that he was a Christian. Now he's out here bold. We're not a Christian nation. Okay, no longer am I either, but I am a believer in the Scriptures. But you know what I'm trying to say. He's tried to say that he was a believer, basically, in the Scriptures, and he followed the word of the Most High, and that's not the case. And then when you look here, let me see here. I want to read quickly Daniel 7:8, and he says, "And behold, I was thinking about the horn, and behold, another little horn came up among them, and 3 of the first horns were uprooted before it. And behold, in his horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking domineering things, speaking blasphemy." He's been speaking blasphemy and all kinds of things. He's already said that we're no longer a Christian nation or a nation, and I'm not either. But when he's saying that, he's meaning we're no longer under, like their constitution or their one nation under God or whatever. We know that that's not the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But this nation and the Constitution was supposedly written on the foundations of following biblical principles, and it was a time when our children, and when we could pray in school, they have taken prayer out of schools. They're bringing in all kind of abominations. Now they got the transgender bathrooms, and then, now they bringing in, and particularly Fairfax County, Virginia, where they got lesbian, homosexuals, and people and teachers now teaching our children as part of the curriculum how how to perform anal or oral sex and insert a dildo in somebody's behind. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Everything that is being done. And quickly go to Daniel chapter 11 and 39. Because see, his power is not his power that he's getting is not his power on his own. That's what Daniel 8:24 says. His power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. The dragon has given him his power. And the false prophet, the Pope, that's the reason, the whole point of why he came here. That's why he was recently here. He's been given his power. He's been given his power. He is the first beast that Revelation speak of. He is. This I truly believe, according to Scripture and my dreams and visions that I've been having, that he is the man of sin.
Yeah.
He fits it. He's been able to do things that no one else has been able to do. Why does he have the power to do all of these things? Where did he get it from? Daniel chapter 11, verse 39 reads, "And he shall act in the strongholds of the fortress with a foreign god, whom he shall acknowledge. He shall increase in glory, and he shall cause them to rule over many, and shall divide the land for a price." This is speaking of Jerusalem. I already saw that, and I think I told you that prenup where they're trying to enter into an agreement.
Yeah.
That's all we waiting on.
Yeah.
But he's going to do it by force, because what they're trying to do is to say that Jerusalem is no longer a part of Israel.
Yeah,
that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, they're trying to divide it.
Yeah, trying to divide the land. This is Scripture. He's doing this.
Yeah.
How can you not say that you don't? But how can you not say you don't believe in the Bible and His name alone? Okay, stands for lightning from the heights.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeshua said, "I saw Satan falling like lightning from the heights." Who do you think this is? You have been bamboozled, hoodwinked, whatever you want to call it. It's time for the people of Yah to wake up, to stand up, and to speak out against all the things. Is this going to still go down because we're speaking out? Yes.
Yes.
Because Yeshua said that this must happen.
Mm-hmm.
He said it must happen. But that man, who killed himself, and then he told what they had planned.
Yeah.
He said they're going to send out the soldiers, the United States soldiers. They took an oath to protect the United States citizens. Okay, they're going to be sent out because they know that what they're going to do. And didn't you say, Prina, that they were on the list too?
Yeah. Some of them will be on the list too.
Yeah, because they know that they're going to rise up. There's going to be an uprising, and they realize that. That's why they bringing in foreign soldiers. They're going to be bringing them in, and even the clips we played, and even the movie The Purge is talking about bringing in. And then at the beginning of the trailer, it talks about bringing in foreigners to come in for the purge. What do you think they're talking about?
Yeah.
What do you think they're talking about when they're bringing foreigners in to participate in the purge? The purging of what? The purging out of the people of Yah, the purging of those who are going to fight against this new world order and what they're trying. And then the senator and anybody else who stands up and any official, political or government official who does not fall in line, they're going to try to get rid of them as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this all is about.
Yeah.
I'm going to
play sending a message.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that movie is sending a message to all those that oppose what the government is doing.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. They sending you a message warning now. If you don't, if you stand up against us, this can happen. This could be you. But again, we cannot fear those who can kill the body, but fear the one who can kill both the body and the soul. Yeshua said, if you try to save your life, you're going to end up losing it. But those that are willing to lose their life for His name's sake, you're going to end up getting that and then some. So we're going to listen to this next audio clip. There's a woman, I can't remember her name. You hear it in the clip. But basically saying, what's going to happen with the financial collapse. And when you see this whole banking virus system, how many days approximately from her insiders, you will have to do whatever you're going to do.
You know her work from Occupy Corporatism, Activist Post. You know her work from InfoWars, from SGT Report. Everybody is picking up Suzanne's material. Suzanne, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Suzanne, you're really a great writer. I really have to give you kudos on your research, your hyperlinks, your vetting, your information, and that's why everybody is picking up your articles, because they're very, very detailed, but you're talking about some very scary things. We do that too here at SGT Report. I talk to a lot of smart people. I spoke with James Wesley Rawls not too long ago, who said, and I quote, "We're entering into an age of deception and betrayal by our own government." And Suzanne, that's basically what you've been writing about across the board, whether it's vaccine information or your article titled U.S. Army Tactical Manuals Describe How to Control Domestic Insurrection. Why don't you let people know why you wrote that and what it means?
I wrote that because there's a bunch of articles that have come out. It started with Rex 84, and it's turned into a bunch of manuals and a bunch of executive orders that put in place martial law. And the military likes to perform war games, so that's why we're seeing military on the streets practicing. They are actually practicing. The tanks that we see on the streets and the National Guard patrolling neighborhoods and the practices that they're doing with our local police department, this is all in preparation for martial law, so that when they do actually lock down the country, they've got everything secured.
People that don't run in these circles and to whom this information is new, Suzanne, they love to say that we're all conspiracy tinfoil hat-wearing nuts because we still live in a republic. But I think what we're starting to see, for anybody who is objective at all, is we're seeing a totalitarian system now unveil itself. And ever since essentially 9/11 happened, it's been more and more of these draconian measures that are leading us right down the road to martial law. What do you think will be the cause of the declaration of martial law? Will it be a financial collapse or something altogether different? We've seen a lot of false flags. What do you think would be the cause of martial law?
Well, I had written an article earlier this week from a U.S. Marine informant and also a Deutsche Bank informant. And in 2008, we should have collapsed. We should have gone the way of Greece. The only reason why we didn't was because the global elite and the banking cartels put it off on the Eurozone and collapsed the Eurozone in order to gain sovereign debt. Sovereign debt is when you actually own the physical land. You don't just own the buildings, you don't just own the people and the money. They're extracting wealth so that the only thing that the governments will have left to give them is the actual land that they own. While they're doing this, they're amassing this wealth in order to redirect it toward martial law endeavor, and not just in America, but globally. They want to lock down every country and force us into global governance, eventually force us into a global reserve currency that is like the Bancor that the IMF has been pushing. So in 2008, when Hank Paulson went to the Congress and said that they had to bail out the banks for $700 billion or martial law would be declared, they weren't lying. They went ahead and passed that, and they gave this money to the Chinese. But the Chinese, since then, have been backing their currency, their fiat currency, in gold. And China's been doing this, India's been doing this, and Russia's been doing this.
Okay. So this is just to confirm that I'm here trying to make a mortgage payment in cash. I have $1,380 sitting in front of me for a $1,371 mortgage payment. And Bank of America is rejecting a cash payment of my mortgage here in Lakeport, California. Is that correct?
So you need to turn that off.
Is that correct?
You need to turn that off, sir.
This is what I've just been told. Bank of America has just refused to accept my mortgage payment in cash and is insisting on kind of a wire transfer. Apparently, in America, cash does not pay the mortgage anymore, is what I'm being told today in Lakeport.
If you go back in history, the reason why we went after Gaddafi was because he was presenting the dinar, which was a gold-backed currency that he was getting together with other countries like in Africa. He was going to subvert the global reserve currency, which is the U.S. dollar, and destroy its complete value by backing it with gold, because the central bankers haven't dealt in gold since 1934. So in order to avoid all of this, the central bankers are going after Iran right now, and that's what this war is about, to try and stop India and China and Russia from buying Iranian oil with gold. Because if they destroy the global reserve currency, which is the U.S. dollar, then what we're going to have is we're going to wake up one morning and we're going to be like Greece. And that's going to cause complete panic in this country. So since they already set off the financial time bomb in the Eurozone, they know that it's just a matter of time before it hits our shores. So they're preparing for it. That's why we see all the movement on the streets. People are seeing tanks being moved in Burbank, California. They're seeing, in their forested areas, they're seeing police, military, escorting them off the property. National forested lands. This is public land, supposedly. By the way, it's owned by UNESCO, and it's a World Heritage Site, so it's actually owned by the UN. But anyway, people are seeing military on their streets. In Anaheim, California, they announced that because of the protest, it was a state of emergency, which I feel is a code word for martial law. I think they're trying to beta test to see if they can go ahead and lock down the country by doing it incrementally through different stages, causing problems, problem, reaction, solution, causing problems in cities, and then go ahead and locking it down and seeing how it works, kind of like a war game. One thing I forgot to mention was through the Deutsche Bank informant, I was alerted to the idea that they're going to possibly create like an internet virus that would attack the banking system, you know, like they're using Flame and Sussnet. And there's a new cousin of these two that is going around Iran. Mm-hmm. And what they would do was, on a Friday afternoon, they would say, well, we have to shut down the banking system because there's a virus in all the banks. You won't be able to use your ATMs over the weekend, but on Monday morning you'll be fine. Well, if you hear of anything like that, you have 72 hours before they roll out martial law.
So wait a minute, Suzanne, you're saying that if you see anything like that in the news media or otherwise, you have 72 hours? Why don't you repeat that, help people understand what that means?
When they're going to roll out martial law, they think that when the financial collapse hits the shores of the United States, they have 72 hours. So with my Deutsche Bank informant and talks with other people in the alternative media, my contacts, I just think that it's possible that a scenario like this, I'm not saying that this will happen, but a scenario like this, and it would give you something to look for, a little red flag to look for. Let's say that the banks all say that there's a virus in all the banking systems, all of the banks, and they have to shut down, like on a Friday. We know that the Obama administration loves to do things on a Friday afternoon or when we're celebrating New Year's Eve. So Friday afternoon, they would say they're going to shut down the banks and get rid of this virus over the weekend. And on Monday morning, everything would be back up. Over the weekend, you wouldn't be able to use your ATM or pay any bills online, but everything will be fine on Monday morning. That is your red flag. You have 72 hours from that moment to do whatever you were planning on doing, get to wherever you were planning on getting to, hunker down whatever you were planning on hunkering down, because they're going to unroll martial law in 72 hours from that moment, whatever scenario they intend to unroll. And I believe that it has to do with...
Hello, Prita?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I hate that video got cut off because she was getting ready to tell you what she believed it had to do with. So I'm going to try to see if I can find that video, that audio in its totality, because I would like to hear the rest. But she said basically whatever scenario they try to unroll, we don't know. But we do know that a war is coming. Mm-hmm. There's no coincidence that all you see now is we'll buy your gold.
Yeah.
You know, we'll buy your gold and give you money. Because they know that they're giving you money, it doesn't matter. Your money is absolutely nothing. It's getting ready to mean nothing in a moment.
No value. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason why they run. That's the reason why you see all these we'll buy your gold commercials. I mean, we've been seeing them for the past 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Because they know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
They know what's going on.
Yeah. And when you don't sold it all, you don't have no leverage.
Yeah, you better keep your gold.
Mhm.
Because that's all you're going to be able to purchase anything with.
Mhm.
You know, so Anything else stood out in the video? She said about the banking virus.
Yeah, like and that's why I just truly believe, because like my daughter worked in retail, and her store did a revamp of their swipe system, so now they have the card reader, the chip reader rather, and so a lot of the stores are now revamping their old system to put the chip reader. The chip reader is, they tell you it's just so that they can access everything and you're protected and all that. No, this is just a run to see, what's going to happen when the market crash. It was a video that happened in Venezuela when their market crashed, and over a year ago, and they're looting now, and they're hunting dogs and cats and pigeons because the food on the supermarket.
Venezuela,
it's bare. They have a shortage of vital medicines. They have crime has raised, and also a lot of blackouts, and there's shortage in water. So they brought in military over there, and they called a state of emergency. So they're going in other countries, practicing and getting ready for what's going to come our way. And like she was saying in the video, it's not just the U.S. This is when the eclipse. When the economy collapsed. Sorry, tongue twisted. Collapsed. When the economy collapsed, it's not going to just be United States. It's nationwide. That's why it's called New World Order.
United Nations. All nations.
All nations is going to follow suit. And
we're going back to Babylon. That's what basically this whole thing is. We're going right back to Babylon.
Yes.
With Nimrod ruling the earth.
And that's
it's the same thing.
Yeah. So for those of you that's trying to flee, you ain't going. Where you going?
Yeah, where are you going? That's what. And he said when he tells you to flee and deliver your soul, he's not talking about physically fleeing. He will lead us. Yah will lead us out, because there are some of us will be in the wilderness. Everybody is not going to be there. But it's going to be his will who makes it there and who doesn't. But even there, it's going to be some purging, because you're going to have to go under the rod. And it's going to be a lot of you that are not going to make it because you're rebels.
Yeah, just like when the wilderness.
The same thing. Nothing is gonna be different. It's gonna be the same.
Grumbling, and they clothes didn't even wear out for 40 years, and they grumbling. They being fed by the Most High. It's gonna be the same. Same stiff neck. It's gonna be purged out. So just get your house in order, your spiritual house in order. Get your mind frame right, and pour yourself into the scriptures and in prayer and fasting with the Most High Yah, and let Him lead you. Don't make moves because you acting out of fear, because you can't change what's going to come. What has been written, it is so. And so we just have to just remember that and remember that Yah has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind, and and act upon that. But that doesn't mean that you just walk around like you in La La Land and don't know and not be aware. Use your common sense, be aware, get you some supplies so that if it does happen this summer or in the winter, you are able to sustain yourself and you not out here looting and being with the chaos. You still standing firm on Yah's word, and I just hope that, everybody is, stay away from just involved with what the government and what, not the government, but what all these plans that they have coming up, the Summer Olympics and all that. Everybody getting so hyped up for all these events. and they're not looking at the red flags that's going on behind the scenes that's coming, towards us.
Well, I wanted to quickly read Genesis chapter 10 because we speak about this whole New World Order, and they want a one-world government where they're ruling. It was like this in the beginning, and Yah said that's why he said there's nothing new under the sun. Everything that was, is, and will be again before Yeshua comes. But in Genesis chapter 10, it began with Nimrod in verse 8. Genesis 10 and 8 says, and Cush fathered Nimrod. He began to be a mighty hero in the land. He was, and also, just so you know, our current president, he is from the same line as Cush, Nimrod. So just so you know that, I just wanted to throw that in. And Nimrod was ruled the world at that time. But it says, and Cush fathered Nimrod. He began to be a mighty hero in the land. He was a great hunter before Yah. So it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before Yah. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel. So that's where you get Babel from, Babylon from. Babel means confusion, okay? Because Yah confused their language because they sought to go up and try to make a tower to go to heaven to fight against Yah in the heavens. And so when they said in Genesis 11:4, come, let us build a city at a tower with its top to the heavens and make a name for ourselves that we be not scattered on the face of the earth. But this is where this comes from. If you read Genesis 11:1, it says the whole earth was of one lip and one speech. Okay? One lip and one speech. He ruled.
Yeah.
Okay? He was in charge. He was in charge. And this is what they want again. This is the same thing they want.
Yeah.
The same thing that was going on in with Babylon when he was in charge, they want the same thing again.
Yeah.
So we're going to get to this last audio clip. This one is a little bit longer, and I'm just going to try to play the important parts, but it is something that you do need to be aware of because this actually gives a list, exposes a list, and those that will be on that list considered to be terrorists. But also, the Black Lives Matter. Many of you so-called African Americans, you always caught up, and this is how you got caught up with this man in office now. All you care about is what somebody's skin look like. Yeah. Forget about what somebody's skin color look like. Many of you going to be fooled. That's how Creflo Dollar and TD Fake and the rest of them can fool you because you think just because somebody is in office and they have your skin color, this man in office is not even us.
Yeah.
He's Ham.
Yeah.
He's Cush. He's from the same line as Nimrod. You caught up in what somebody look like. Stop. Y'all say he don't look at the outward appearance. He look at the heart of the person. He said only man does that. And so this whole thing with this, I knew it was something with this Black Lives Matter. And they're going to talk about it, expose him too, because he's a part of the agenda to cause the chaos just like they did in Ferguson. So listen to this, and then we're going to come right back and give our last thoughts before we come out.
Truth Unveiled here, and today I have so much to share with you. I'm going to be talking about Summer of Chaos and the chaos upheaval because it's only going to get worse from here. You need to be preparing accordingly. And I'm here at IntelliHub where it talks about what's known as and deemed and dubbed Operation Summer of Chaos Exposed. Obama administration, Soros, Black Lives Matter plan to activate martial law before the general election is revealed. And it says the 10,000 bought and paid for BLM dissidents to create chaos at the Philadelphia Democratic National Convention in late July. And this isn't the first time that they've done this. They've been doing this at multiple conventions. And trust me, it's not just Black Lives Matter that's involved with this. It's with any riot and with any protest that we've been seeing that can be caused by and triggered by anything at this point. If Donald Trump were to say something very racist like he's been doing, then it's going to trigger upheaval, and that is exactly what they want. Do not buy into the heat. Do not let them push your buttons, because all they're trying to do is start and trigger this race war any single way they can, and they need you to do it. And that's why they're using Donald Trump to say all those racist remarks that he's saying towards Muslims and towards Mexicans. That's all it's for. But it goes on to say that Black Lives Matter leader DeRay McKesson had 2 of his email accounts hacked last Friday, along with his Twitter. Reports indicate that the perpetrators successfully hacked into several of McKesson's accounts after posing as McKesson to a Verizon Tech wireless support operator in order to gain access and post a provocative tweet which endorsed Mr. Trump for the presidential bid. Now, it goes on to talk about this, and it goes on to talk about some of the tweets he made, but it's interesting because it also says, however, that the mainline press, of course, the mainstream media, they made no mention of the real purpose for the hack, which was to obtain secret information about a George Soros Obama administration sponsored plot, an elaborate operation dubbed the Summer of Chaos, which is aimed at shutting down both the Democratic National Convention and the Republican National Convention in order to trigger martial law nationwide, keeping Mr. Barack Obama in the White House beyond his allotted 2 terms under national security presidential directives. And that's not the only way that they're trying to do that. They're also going to do that by staging these weather events and staging all of this disaster. And believe me, that's exactly what they're getting ready for. You wonder why there's suspicious activity going on in Yellowstone in California right now with earthquakes? I'll tell you why, because they know exactly what time it is. But the question is, do you? Later on in this video, I'm going to prove to you once and for all that the government is vehemently preparing for martial law. I'm even going to show you some classified documents that even prove that our government's getting ready for martial law, courtesy all of the drills that have been taking place, not to mention the FEMA drills and what they've done with Cascadia Rising and other drills and tests that they've been doing nationwide every single day. But the question is, are you paying attention to these things? Now, it's also interesting because it talks about the plans, and it talks about some leaked messages and tweets and Twitter exchanges between DeRay McKesson and Samuel Sanyangwi in question. And it even talks about, I want to touch base with you about the Summer of Chaos. So far, we have over 2,000 people being bussed in from different cities and another 6,000 to 8,000 expected to drive into the Cleveland for the convention. But what if I also told you that this isn't the only thing that they're bussing? These aren't the only people that they're bussing. What if I told you that DHS and the USPS and all those other alphabet soups, that they're all conspiring to not only bust in these people for riots, but also to bust in so-called Syrian refugees to start chaos and upheaval in America? What if I told you these things? And what if I told you that they did the exact same thing for the riots that took place in Ferguson and in Baltimore? Because it's even been proven by witnesses themselves in Ferguson themselves that they did not remember any of those rioters in Ferguson. Why? Because they were not from Ferguson, because they were funded by the government to go to Ferguson and start upheaval and start chaos and to trigger chaos, to bring in the military and to bring in martial law in Ferguson, literally. And that was just a test to get ready for it, not to mention the Boston bombings hoax, which, yes, you can do your research on, in order to get ready for martial law in Boston and to take away guns and to do a giant gun swap. I hope you're seeing the bigger agenda and the problem, reaction, solution. That is my hope with all this, because there's something bigger going on. You need to see the bigger agenda so that you will be ready for what's to come, so that you will be ready for the planned and staged chaos and the civil unrest that's also going to unleash in America when they no longer have food in the stores, and when they get rid of all the food, and when they shut down all of the banks so that you can no longer get your money out of the banks, so that you can no longer have money to use to spend on the food in the stores. And you think this is a conspiracy? Oh, you keep thinking that, because when it becomes a reality, oh, you would have wished you would have listened. But I'm here talking about what? The Summer of Chaos, and how a leaked tweet also talked about this too, and how what? The leaders of BLM are what? Trying to get martial law to stop the election and to stop Trump. And that's what the government's also doing, because yes, Trump is controlled opposition, and all he's there to do is to try to spark this race war any single way he can, and he's doing a good job of it with certain groups in America, and it's only going to increase more and more here. The 2016 elections is one giant joke, in case you haven't figured it out by now, but in case you haven't, it's getting ready and preparing for these protests and riots, and that's not all. But as you can even see, here's some of the tweets that were exchanged between them, and you can even see it says, we spoke 2 2 weeks, and they want to start really pushing how racist Trump is now instead of waiting so that others can start getting the protesters ready to shut both conventions down. And that's what they all want to do, and that's what they're going to keep pushing, not just through Black Lives Matter, but also through all of these other stage organizations and these government organizations such as the KKK and all the other ones, and even the ACLU. All of them play a role in all of this because they're getting ready for the New World Order and martial law, and we're going to go over many of them in a moment to come. I've already gone over this document before, but I will go over it once again to reiterate the seriousness of all of this and tell you that no, this is not a conspiracy theory. No, this is some serious stuff going on, and you need to wake up now and see the world around you and see what time it really is, because your government and military are prepared and ready and armed to go, mobilizing as we speak. But if you're not ready, if you're not ready to stand in that evil day, if you're not seeking Yahuwah, I honestly do not know what to tell you. So I'm here at the U.S. Army Special Operations Command, and it says, request to conduct realistic military training, RMT Jade Helm 15. And what you've been noticing, and if you've been paying attention, there have been a lot more military drills and drills over here, drills over there, drills regarding emergencies, drills regarding this, drills regarding that. Have you ever wondered and stopped and thought about why they're doing all these drills to begin with? Has that ever crossed your mind once before? If not, well, then you seriously need to think again and really start thinking about what's going on. I'm telling you, there's bigger things on the horizon if you're not paying attention to it. But it says the purpose of this is what? The commander of the U.S. Army Special Operation Command, or the USA SOC, seeks a written invitation and approval from local officers to conduct realistic military training, or RMT, within their jurisdictions for joint military exercise known as Jade Helm 15 or JH-15, and this hasn't stopped back then. They're also doing it with the UX drills this year in 2016, even as we speak. And it goes on to talk about what this training is. In a nutshell, it talks about how they're going to be doing risk assessments, legal reviews, IDs of training, staging areas, role plays, airfield, drop zones, and landing zone surveys. Now, that may sound all fine and good, doesn't it? I bet it does. Now, when you understand what Jade Helm drills are, then you understand what the bigger agenda is, but it's a challenging 8-week joint military exercise and conventional warfare that is to be conducted throughout Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California, Nevada, Utah, and Colorado. Don't get it twisted. They've been doing this all over the place. They've been doing this not just in those states, but in other places in secret locations that they're not going to tell us. Why? Because they want you to think it's some giant conspiracy and that it doesn't mean anything, even though it does, because what I'm about to show you is about to blow your mind. Because as you can see, this is an unclassified document, isn't it? And this is an unclassified document that shows you what they're getting ready for with the Jade Helm drills. But what happens when I show you a classified document? Because here I am at the exact same document. As you can see, the exact same document. The only difference is that it's classified now. But look what it says, guidelines under martial law. And they're not going to show you that in the unclassified because they want you to think it's a hoax anytime they want to. Now, why am I showing you this? Because your government and your military have been vehemently preparing for these things. They've been vehemently preparing for martial law. They've been vehemently preparing for hostile forces. They've been vehemently preparing for civil unrest and all these things. They're preparing for this stuff, folks, and they have government documentation to prove it. And just who are they going to lock down and who are they going to consider domestic terrorists? Oh, you're going to find out who's considered a domestic terrorist, all right, because I'm telling you there's a bigger agenda. Now, this part just talks about what? The DOD officials in correspondence with what? Reese AFB military bases. And it's interesting because aren't they converting military bases into FEMA camps? Oh, now it's making sense. And it even says how in this right here, how each enemy combatant detained at Reese AFB also undergoes an extensive assessment of the threat he poses. This threat assessment process is used to determine whether, notwithstanding his status as an enemy combatant, should remain detained in the control of the Department of Defense, or the DOD. And I've talked about the Department of the Defense in great detail, and how I talked about the Department of Defense is the organization that is funding these FEMA camps literally, and there's government documentation to prove that as well. Not only that, but notice how they always say, oh, this person poses a threat, that person poses a threat, because you could have ties to ISIS if you're watching this video right now. You could be considered a terrorist if you're watching this video right now, and there are government documents to prove that. We're going to go over that later on so that you'll see I'm not just making this stuff up, that this stuff is real serious, and you need to wake up to what's going on so that you can see what time it really is. Even in this classified document, it even talks about having zones, and Zone 1 and Zone 2. Oh, just like FEMA has different regions.
Shatai.
Yeah, Prina.
Yes.
Now, all of a sudden, it just stops. Do you hear that?
Yeah.
You just stops. So I'm going to play that, and then let me see here, because I don't know if it even actually said, hold on one second. Now, there's no actual reason why that should stop.
Truth Unveiled here, and today I have so much to share with you. I'm going to be talking about some New World Order, and if you're caught conspiracy theorizing, or if you're considered a conspiracy theorist with individual liberties, or if you advocate for states' rights, you are considered a terrorist. Documents. And as you'll see, if you are even considered any of these one things, you could be considered a terrorist in the eyes of the government. Now, I've gone over this in some of my other videos as well, and like I said, I'll leave the link so that you can see it on your own time, because I'm not going to go over all this, but below is the list of 72 types of Americans that are considered to be extremists or potential terrorists in official U.S. government documents. And that's another reason that they're pushing this terrorist agenda, is because not only do they want to turn the problem internally and make you into the problem, yes, you as if you're in America right now, but also if you're even speaking about the government or speaking against it, it's another way for them to come after your rights and freedoms, to your already little to no rights that you already don't have, because that's exactly what they're doing. But as you can see with the list below, if you're even talking about individual liberties, or if you advocate for states' rights, you are considered a terrorist. And by the way, they have the government documents to prove all this, so I highly recommend you come check this out and see that, no, we're not making this stuff up. But also, if you're considered anti-gay, anti-immigrant, anti-Muslim, and if you're part of the Patriot movement, you are considered a terrorist. And by the way, if you're considered anti-immigrant, in some places it's illegal to even talk about anti-immigration on Facebook or other social media networks. You could get fined. Why is that the case? But if you're members of any of these organizations and members of some more organizations and coalitions, then you are considered a terrorist. If you're opposed to the New World Order, and if you're caught conspiracy theorizing, or if you're considered a conspiracy theorist, which is pretty much this channel, well, then you are a terrorist. If you're opposed to Agenda 21 or Agenda 2030 or anything of the United Nations, you are a terrorist. If you're concerned about the FEMA camps, or even know about the FEMA camps and the New World Order, you are considered a terrorist. If you're considered part of the militia movement, and if you believe in any of the conspiracy theories or believe and advocate for gun rights, then you are considered a terrorist. And not only that, but it goes so deep, because if you are involved with anything quote-unquote extremist, according to the government, which is basically watching this channel and walking down the street because you suspect that the government's spying on you with your phone via the GPS, then you could be considered a terrorist. If you're considered anti-abortion, anti-Catholic, anti-nuclear, and right-wing extremism, and veterans as well, you are considered a terrorist. Oh, but that's not all. I've also gone over this document in my Walmart video, as well as some of my other videos, but I would like to reiterate this document so that you can see exactly what's going on. But this document is called Project Megiddo, and what this document is an FBI strategic assessment of the potential for domestic terrorism in the United States undertaken in anticipation of or response to the arrival of the new millennium. And this had to do with Y2K, and in the event that there was an outage altogether, like an EMP, for example. So just because it did not happen 16 years ago does not mean it's not happening. And you're going to see exactly who they consider terrorists, because they don't consider murderers terrorists. They don't consider sociopaths terrorists, like those who work in the government, but rather they consider those who are in this identity or those who are in these groups as terrorists. They consider, if you even know about the New World Order and call it a conspiracy theory, they consider you a terrorist, even though President George H.W. Bush talked about the New World Order 11 years exactly prior to 9/11. Not only that, but if you're Christian, if you're white and you believe in white supremacy, if you're militia, you're considered a terrorist. And if you're a black Hebrew Israelite, you are considered a so-called terrorist, the real biblical Israelites. Please wake up to this. Not only that, but if you're a part of apocalyptic cults, you are considered a terrorist. Why is that always the case? It's time to wake up and see the bigger agenda, not to mention gun control as well. But if you're even opposed to Zionism, and if you even know about Zionism, and if you say anything bad about Israel, you could be considered a domestic terrorist, and that's just the darn truth. So in conclusion, how are they going to attempt to shut down the system? Well, through many ways, and we already see them testing it out through rioting and protesting, through these protests and drills that they're doing. We also see it with no more water in the stores courtesy Flint. We also see all of the power outages that have been going on. That's another way that they're testing it, not to mention the EBT, and this is a big one. That's another way that how they're going to test it. They've already tested it nationwide a couple of years ago, back in October 2013, with the EBT shutdown nationwide, and I've done a video on this as well, not to mention more false flags and Sandy hoaxes in Orlando that are going to lead up to another 9/11 to lock down the nation and the bank ATM shutdown, not to mention how they're going to stage all of this chaos and upheaval with the weather as well, because yes, you should be concerned. They control the weather. Yes, they do. And they're going to use that to try to shut it down too by making all this chaos in all these different places. Please seek Yahuwah and his true son Yahusha so you can be escaped in that evil day. But this is Truth Unveiled here saying shalom.
All right, Prina.
Yes.
So we see, as usual, doesn't matter what day,
yeah,
you know, they try to shut us down from soon as he get ready to tell the list, and all of a sudden, you know, the board goes haywire, we get disconnected. We'll see if it tapes or not. If not, that was like the last 4 minutes. I can replay it and record it and re-add that back to it. But this is what happens when you're, you know, demons busy, you know, when we're trying to get this truth out here. So any final thoughts that you would like to, you know, add to the people before I play this outro clip that I have?
No, I don't have anything.
Just any
right
final
now.
Warnings, anything as far as?
Just take, you know, what we are saying not lightly, and, you know, and take it seriously, you know. Just as Noah warned while he was, you know, building the ark, and, you know, I'm quite sure people thought he was crazy too, because we can see that they were drinking and marrying until he was locked in the boat. Okay, and so we're just warning because, you know, our spirits have been grieving. I know mine have, and I shared this with Shaitan because I didn't share it, you know, earlier. Or, you know, previously, but it's been times where I just get emotional and just cry as I'm praying, you know, and my spirit is just so grieved, and I have been so saddened, and I, you know, I know that something is coming, and I just, you know, we don't know when, we don't know the hour, so we can't tell you that, but just prepare, just get yourself in order, get right with Yah, because at the end of the day, you know, we know that we're going to be persecuted. We know that these things are going to take place. But our main concern is that you are right with Yah, and that you are sealed, and that you have salvation if you endure to the end. That's our, you know, main warning and concern to you, and to be prepared for what's to come so that you are not blindsided, as I said, you know, yesterday. You know, last Sabbath, I'm sorry. As you see the sword coming, you know, and we see it, and not just us, but, you know, all the news media, all the YouTube videos we've shown, all the articles that we pull articles from, they're warning us. And we're warning you, and so we just, you know, hope that you take heed, to our warning before it's too late.
Yeah, I mean, just even it's the people of Yah are warning you, as well as those who are not even those who are not even serving Yah, but they're awake to what is going on and what they're trying to pull over us, and they're warning you as well. So you got people who are serving Yah, the wicked and the righteous, coming before you. So you got to listen to one. And don't be caught off guard. And the main thing is, get your houses in order. It's time to seek Yah's face and to get under the covering of the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. That is the only way that you're going to be able to stand in these end times and put on the whole armor of Yah. Yeah. You cannot lay down your sword and think that you're going to be ready. Many of you don't have your sword, which is Yah's word, and you don't even know what's happening. Many of you don't even know who this man that's in office is. If you picked up your Bibles, you would see who he is. The scriptures tell you. But, now is the time for you to know him and to come under that covering of the blood of Yeshua and to make sure that you're walking in obedience, examining your life to make sure that you're in right standing with him, that when your time comes, when that last breath is drawn, you know where you're going to end up. And it's not going to be because you didn't take a stand and you was a coward, or because you was a foolish virgin and you missed, the door was shut on you. I don't want to see that happen to those who are in service of Yah and those who are taking hold to the covenant as well. And so with that being said, we're just sending another warning out. This is just us warning you, letting you know the sword that's coming, some of the possible plans that can be. We don't have exact dates, but we know that they have something planned. And Yah has been giving us dreams, and all I have been seeing in all my dreams is a lot of civil unrest. I've seen the tankers. I've seen the NDAA Act unfold, and it's all been under this current administration. Even dreams with the Pope as well. So just take heed. If you have ears to hear the Spirit as it speaks. Be led of the Most High Yah. Know what His Word says, so you're not deceived in these end times. And definitely do not compromise on the Word of Yah or take the mark. And so with that being said, we're going to leave you out with this audio clip that is 2 minutes. Please listen to this. Don't leave before listening to this. And you're going to see someone try to wiggle out an agenda that he tried to act like it had nothing to do with the current administration as far as the FEMA camps, and he tried to lie and get his way out of it. And we will all, Yah willing, see you on next Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.
Global healthcare. They call it a residential center, but it looks a hell of a lot more like a prison to me. Double fences, floodlights, barbed wire to keep people from getting out, and at the main entrance, railroad tracks, just like Nazi Germany.
It's hundreds of thousands, plastic coffins.
So each one of those is a separate coffin stacked on top. There's probably, 20 to 25 per stack. And how many stacks? Literally hundreds of them.
And you can fit 4 dead bodies per plastic coffin. It's basically a giant body bag.
Tens of thousands of coffins. Officially, they're plastic grave liners. The bodies would pile up, the military would pile in, and the concentration camp gates would open. So you're telling me there isn't one FEMA camp of these in the United States right now?
There are not.
Why is it in that bill?
What is exactly in the bill?
It talks about building FEMA camps, doesn't it? In that particular bill that we're talking about? What's the bill number? 6 FEMA camps to be built within the United States. How can a bill state that there'll be 6 FEMA camps built in the United States, and then I'm being told there are none?
I think those are locations for if there's a disaster like in Katrina. I think that's what it is. It's not any kind of a concentration camp or anything to round up citizens.
Well, we have films of children playing on the swings and the slides and stuff, and this one technically falls under Homeland Security.
Well, I don't know. I haven't been there, and I don't know who the children are, and the children are probably very happy.
Where have we heard that before?
It's the answer spoken by young and old, rich and poor, rich and poor, rich and poor.
And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads.
But a lot of people don't know that there is the available